Here we have the Goly 4-band dynamic EQ. We've got low shelves and high shelves as well as cross compression. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is go through each band and what it can do, how it can be used, what it's good for, and there's a lot of confusion as to what it is, but it is a 4-band dynamic EQ. We have frequency, we have Q, we have gain, we have everything you would have on what's below here, the Goly porter grinder. We have basically a porter grinder with dynamic EQ. Get your head around that. It's special. So I'm going to show you now just what's possible with it, and what it's good to use it for. Cross compression for bringing out the kick drum in tracks, breathing life into a track. I'm going to show you exactly what it can do. So the first thing to mention is the EQ section. So we have, each band has its own EQ. So you've got, this is your gain, this is your frequency, and this is your Q. So that is basically your EQ. Each band has a bypass button. You can switch in and out. This is good for if we want to isolate certain bands or audition what we're doing and make sure that what we're doing is correct. So now moving on to the dynamic section, you have the compression amount, and then you have the attack and release amounts. You've also got super soft, which you can switch in and out. So next you have cross compression. Now this is really interesting in the way this works. So whatever dynamic EQ you are applying, so if you're applying, let's say you're getting 10 dB of reduction on this band, for instance, what you can then do is send that band to A, have that band return to here to A. So now what happens is whatever gain reduction is done on this band is applied to this band. So why this is effective is you can either use it to compress or you can use it to decomp, which compress means you'll get gain reduction of 10 dB here based on what you set this frequency to do, or, which is more favorable in my eyes, is decomp will upwards inflect 10 dB, for instance. Obviously, you don't have to go 10 dB. You can just make small 2 dB, which will give you 2 dB here. Now, what this is good for, imagine a kick drum. You set your gain reduction on this band in the low band, and then you can bring the higher frequencies out in the kick. So you're doing that. So when that kick drum is being compressed or having gain reduction applied to it, the upwards kind of compression is applying to this band here, for instance, or this band, whatever band you want to apply it to. So what's good is you can just go, right, I don't want to apply it to that band, I want to apply it to that band, or I want to apply it to the highest shelf. Another really good feature is you can also turn that band off. So if you're getting, let's say you're getting 10 dB of gain reduction on this band where you've set this, and you want to fire that upwards compression onto this band, for instance, flick it to A, we're sending from A, we're returning on A here. Then when you set the amount of upwards compression, what then happens is you don't get the amount of compression that you want. So you're basically doing is getting this band to trigger this band. It's a really interesting way of working it, and it's better for me to explain this in an actual audio example, and you'll get the picture really quickly there, because it is something you have to get your head round. The low shelves and the high shelf can also be set to Q, or you can set them to low and high shelves. I like to keep them in low and high shelves. Each band has its own bypass, so you can bypass each band, and then you've obviously got the bypass all, which is bypassing the whole unit. So the bypass is good just for auditioning and making sure that what you're doing, applying, is what you want to apply. And then if you want to check the difference overall, you've got the bypass on the output. So that there is what the Goly 4-band dynamic EQ is all about. Now let's jump in and see what this thing sounds like. In this example, I'm going to use a drum loop to utilize the low end band to trigger the higher bands. and create punch in the drums. So now what we'll do is we'll process that same drum loop. We'll add some more EQ to the highs, but we'll also utilize this trigger again by switching the high shelf onto A. And what this will do is we'll now be able to use this trigger to then trigger that same amount that's compressing or using gain reduction in the high end. So it's going to give it more punch in that top end. So in the next example, I'm going to EQ the track using all four bands like I would over a master, and then use this trick with the dynamic EQ cross compression to breathe life into the top end of this otherwise quite dull mix.